Hello, my name is Jesús Ibáñez, and I am a researcher and project manager at the ICRAM, University of Burgos. And I'm going to give you an overview and an introduction of what is sustainability and circular economy. So, the session will be divided in three different areas, which is where we are, which is the current production and consumption model of the linear economy. Where do we need to go, which is the circular economy, and how do we get there, which is the regulatory framework that is pushing all the policies and strategies, especially at the European level, towards the circular economy. So the current production and consumption model is based on the extract, use and dispose of the materials. And in this graph we can see the quantity of materials that has been extracted since 1972, when the Club of Rome published the limit of growth, to advise the population that the resources are limited in the planet. So we need to move or to reconsider the economic model. So this linear pattern can be observed in this graph from the Statista, where we can see how the population changed or was transformed from being a biomass extracting society to one that is extracting especially non-metallic minerals, which is sand or limestone, for instance. So a clear indicator to illustrate this overuse of resources is the Earth Overshoot Day, which indicates the day when the humanity resource consumption exceeds what the Earth can regenerate in a year. In 2025, we can see here in this graph how this day has been moving from December until now, which is July 24, is estimated. It's an estimated study to, as I said, to illustrate the problem with the overconsumption of resources. This means that each year the humanity uses the equivalent to about 1.8 planet Earth, which means that we are consuming far more than our planet can regenerate. And this is mainly related with our current production and consumption model and the lifestyles, and particularly in high-income countries. So to observe this distribution per country, we have what is called the Country Overshot Day, which marks the Earth Overshot Day if all the people around will live like the people in this country. So for instance, if all the people will live at the same level in average as the people in Qatar, the Earth Overshoot Day will be the 6th of February. And on the other hand, if all the people live like the people in Uruguay, the Earth Overshoot Day will be at the end of the year, December 17. So this comparison reminds us that the sustainability is a global goal, but also is a shared responsibility, and it will need regulations and different strategies per country. Another indicator that is created to raise awareness to the population is the blended boundaries. And the blended boundaries is not fully related with the resource extraction and consumption, but is more related with the capacity of the biosphere to regenerate from the disturbances from the human activities. In this case, we have 9 boundaries that are calculated considering different impacts to the biosphere, which are, for example, the climate change based on the CO2 concentration, of the acidification of the oceans, or the land system change. So the last, we have here the different studies and different updates, and the last update is saying that 7 of the 9 boundaries are crossed. If we cross the safety place, the problem is that we don't know which are the effects and that we cannot recover that effects. So we are living in an uncertainty level if we transpose the safety limits. So, well, just to conclude in this part, we can see that the linear economy is producing environmental pollution because we are based on fossil, we are in a fossil-based production model, which is creating climate change, biodiversity loss, and other environmental pollution in air, water, and soil. We also live in a planet with limited resources, and this is creating a resource depletion due to the increasing global production and also the globalization. And finally, the waste generation based on the linear economy, the take-make-waste system, and also that the products are complex and are hard to recycle. So to overcome this problem, the sustainability concept appeared, and it appeared in 1987 in the Brundtland Report, defining that sustainability as the development that is meeting the needs of the present generation without compromising the needs for the future generation. And this sustainability is based on three different pillars, which is the environmental protection, the social equity, and the economic growth. So to make this idea tangible, we need mechanisms that translate these problems into practice. And we have the Sustainable Development Goals, which are established to determine different strategies in countries, in companies. And considering some of these goals, we have the circular economy. The circular economy aims to be one option to promote the sustainability, to reach the goals for the sustainability. The circular economy doesn't have a proper definition, but it has a lot of definitions, but mainly it aims to transform the linear model into a closed loop system where the resources stay as long as possible in use, and the waste is treated as a failure in the design stage rather than an inevitable outcome. And one of the organizations that most important organizations relating to the circular economy is the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which created this is called the butterfly diagram, which we have the biological cycle and the technical cycle. In the technical cycle, we are focused more on the durable materials like metals, plastic, or glass that can be reused, repaired, or recycled. And in the biological cycle, is dealing with renewable resources like wood, food waste, or natural fibers that can return to the biosphere. So let's focus first on the technical cycle and the challenge of the critical raw materials. So the critical raw materials are raw materials that are essential for the development of modern technologies like the electric vehicles, batteries, wind turbines, or digital devices, and are determined by two main factors: the supply risk and the economic importance. Based on this, we have for Europe, which are the major suppliers of the critical raw materials, and the supply risk is meaning that maybe we are importing so many resources from one specific country. And we can see here the example of China, where the import of the heavy rare earth elements is 100%, but we also have boron from Turkey that is almost 50%, or platinum from South Africa that is 70%. With this data, the European Commission creates the critical raw material list. This is the one from 2023, and the critical raw materials are the ones that are trespassing these limits from the supply risk and the economic importance. But we also have nickel and copper that are considered as strategic raw materials, even though they are between the limits. As I said, these raw materials are critical for this for different sectors to move towards the technological development. And for that, the European Commission is developing the Critical Raw Material Acts to establish a framework to, let's say, diversify the import of the different raw materials from third countries, also to improve the monitoring and mitigate the risk of the disruption in the supply chain, and strengthen the circularity and sustainability in these sectors, with different objectives for the year 2030. On the other hand, we have, on the other side, we have the biological cycle, which connects directly to which is the bioeconomy model. And the bioeconomy is defined as the sustainable production and conversion of renewable biological resources into different products like food or also energy product. The aim of the bioeconomy is to replace fossil-based materials with bio-based or renewable and biodegradable materials, preserving also the ecosystem health, not extracting a lot of biomass without studying first which is more sustainable for the process, and also considering the life cycle of the product. So this aims also to create rural employment and promote regional resilience. So finally, how do we get there? How do we reach a circular economy towards a sustainability, let's say, economic model? So, well, we have very brief, not too much in detail, the first circular economy action plan, which was developed in 2015 with 54 actions related to 5 different areas, related to plastic, construction, critical raw materials, food waste, and biomass and bio-based materials for 5 years. So this action plan finished in 2020 when the European Green Deal started, with the aim to reach climate neutrality in Europe by 2050, while ensuring a fair and inclusive transition. It placed the circular economy at the heart of the European industrial strategy, and for that, the new Circular Economy Action Plan was developed in the framework of the Green Deal. Here, the previous action plan was expanded to other value chain like batteries, food, water and nutrients, and electronics, with the objectives of making sustainable products the norm, empower consumers, and also reduce waste generation. So the main conclusion for this chapter is that we are currently in a linear economy that is trespassing the planet's safe limits, and we have an overuse of the resources. Sustainability emerged several decades ago as one of the solutions to consider another economic model, and circular economy is one of the pathways that aims to solve or to help in this problem, moving from a linear system. So moving towards a circular economy requires collective effort and holistic knowledge involving policymakers, industry, consumers, and other stakeholders that are related to the economic models. And that's it from my side. Thank you very much for your attention.